Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hola, bonjour, how are we all? Welcome back to Turf Moor TV, and thank you very much for coming back. We are going to preview that game against the Unwashed down the road, but there is lots to discuss, lots to talk about. Incomings, well, a few incomings, majorly outgoings at the moment. I think we've done a better job than the people who work at a job centre at trying to get people out. It's been absolutely manic at Turf Moor. I think this town to turf they've put a revolving door in at Turf Moor because that's basically how it has been. It's very difficult to say who's going to be here come Friday and who's going to be wearing claret and blue come Friday as well in terms of incomings. I'm glad to be joined by absolute legends, the double A, as we like to call them. We've got Andrew and Ashley in the building. Starting off with you, Andrew. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad. Thank you. How are you?
I'm all right. Be a lot better if this news weren't he farting about and
Yeah,
Twitter were mad and social media's a vile place at the minute, innit?
yeah. It's usually quite vile anyway, but at the minute it's not the best place to be.
Not at all, not at all. And that's why Ash is here. He's took himself away from social media and thought, let's go to Mr. Positive. And then what I said to him off camera is, if you've got all to say, just let it rip. But here he is, Mr. Positive himself. Go on,
Well,
Ashy, how you doing?
well, we, I don't know. It's been such a shocking week. We've gone from like winning the league after 2 games, scoring 9 goals. It's like, yes, that's it. We're going to smash this league to like having no team, pretty much. So yeah, and that performance on Saturday was scary in terms of how dire it were. With our little neighbours coming up, yeah,
It's not,
full
one to
of
look forward
hope,
to,
does
is
it?
it? Not at all. Not at all. Evening to everyone in the chat. Luke's in. Do you think Worrell will be a good shout for Burnley as well? Obviously, we'll just talk about the incomings that have happened and are yet to happen. But Luke, being a Forest fan as well, let us know. Are you looking forward to seeing Worrell in claret and blue? Pete, how you doing? Says evening, Bob. Hope you're well. I'm all right, mate. Can't smile wide enough. Liam's in. How we doing? Up the clarets, indeed. That's all we need. Bit of UTC. You don't need TLC. You need UTC. That's what you need. Liam says he's a great addition now that O'Shea has gone, and I can't forget the missus because she'll kill me if I don't say that she's in. So hello, Spuds. I mean, fair enough. If we are like a mixed bag of taters, I'll take it. It's probably closest thing I'll get to a compliment for this month anyway. And John's in, says, hiya, chaps. Let's get into it. Let's get into it indeed. Let's start then with that starting 11 from the last game. I mean, how shite was it? Let's call it as it is, boys. How shite was that? I mean, 2 keepers on the bench and youth players in there. It just goes to show we were weak as piss. Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, we've gone from having like the most ridiculous amount of depth in the squad to a throwback to the Dyche days of, pre-COVID when we were having bloody Heaton and Pope on bench, and like we've gone. It was like we'd gone back to that. Probably not Heaton and Pope, more like bloody Legzins and Hart or whatever. But you know what I mean. Like it was like we'd gone back to that. I'm just having a look at the starting 11 now. I mean, like, all right, we knew O'Shea was going, but surely that would have been the perfect game for Worrell to come into, or at least Bashir. And then you look at that bench. I mean, Fladaki and Green. I mean, I feel for Fladaki getting dropped straight away anyway, because I thought he did all right against Cardiff, so I did feel bad about him getting dropped in favour of Trafford. But then you've got Sambo, Humphreys, Amdouni, McNally, who I didn't realise was a centre forward. I always thought he was a centre back. And then 3 from academy. So yeah, it were poor straight from the off, and I think as soon as that team got announced, everyone were expecting a trouncing. So to finish 1-0, probably not the worst thing in the world, to be honest.
No. I mean, when I looked at it, and I've spoken to a Bournemouth fan before, and he told me things like, "You'll play good one week, the next week will be an absolute shambles. Your team sheet, you don't know what it's going to be." He said his parting words were "good luck," basically. Actually, I mean, he has changed it. We expected changes. We called it, didn't we, in the last preview before last, when we said that, you know, Odebear would be replaced, etc., and things like that. But surely going into this game, you know, you're first and second in the table, by the way. I know it's still early doors, but you are still coming up against a team who has started on all fronts, and yet you put that out.
Yeah, I can't understand why Benson weren't on the bench. You know, that made no sense to me. He's clearly training, he's not injured, so I've not really heard any other rumblings that he's going, apart from that the old Leeds link. But then Sam Worrell, where was he? You know, weren't even on the bench. Do you reckon that was a bit of a statement from him, though? Because he was fuming after the match with Parker, rightly so. And it's like when you listen to Brownhill and Steve's like post-match interview, you know, they were gutted. You could see they were demoralised as well. But we've just won 2 games, absolutely smashing teams. Yes, no one likes losing that, but it weren't like it was just a scabby loss. It was like, you know, they'd had their hearts ripped out. And, but to stick McNelly up front, it's bonkers, absolute bonkers. But yeah, I mean, how many shots did we get off? 1, 2. I think we only registered 1 on target.
It weren't many. I mean, I went to watch Peter Kay that day because it was my birthday represent. However, I got to see 2 comedic performances in one night, which, you know, brilliant. Except one made me cry with laughter, the other one made me cry on the way there. So it were difficult. I mean, I turned it off after 10 minutes, and that wasn't just because I was jumping on the X43. They've got wireless charging. I could have watched it, but I thought, no, I'm not. After seeing the opening 10 and how much we were up against it, you know, I think there were a chance where they've got down the far side, whipped one in, low across the box, nobody there. And if he got his angle right, it would have beat Trafford at his far post. It's just hard at the moment. I think you're right with what you're saying, that we have Parker made a statement there. And I think that's what Dash tried to do previously, wasn't it? By saying, oh, well, this is what I've got left. This is what I need to work with. It's been too much too soon, hasn't it, Andrew?
Yeah. Well, this is the 3rd season now, isn't it, where we've just completely rebuilt the team. And there's no consistency there. And that's the frightening thing for me. I mean, saying that, though, the first 2 games, the Cardiff game, I didn't think was brilliant. The second half were good, but the first half, I thought Cardiff were the better team. But we scored 5 goals, so you can't grumble too much like that. But then we came up against Sunderland, who are playing good football, and it was like a shocking lineup. Yeah. It's been frustrating.
It is. Andrew, going back to you there with the whole point of making a statement. Ashley said it then, that the interviews that were massive. we are used to glossing things over and I don't know, potentially just saying, "Oh, yeah, he's out with an injury." We've done it for a while. I mean, we even had Sandy Stewart say that Coyle had gone to see family up in Scotland while they were, taking the piss. So they've all got their bullshit stories and things like that. And we get that sometimes they have to cover themselves because this media and social media jumps on it like vultures. But it was good to see some honesty. But yeah, it was also gut wrenching to see that 3 games into a season, the players that you've got look defeated, and yet we have started more positive than how we did even under Kompany in the Championship season.
Yeah.
So I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
I think the main thing is, I think, and it's nothing against Pace. Like, I've still got my faith in him at the minute, and it's nothing against like any of the directors or Scott Parker himself, but we were always expecting to lose O'Shea, maybe. We knew we were going to lose Burge. Mike Tresser, I don't think anyone expected to see him in a Burnley shirt again. Ordbert, can't complain about him going. If these sales had happened in June or even July, I don't think there'd be as much of an uproar. It's the fact that we've got 1 week left, and our next league game is them lot, and we've got that much on the line as it is, especially after those first 2 games where we've blown everyone out the water. All right, we might not have played absolutely brilliantly in those 2 games, but we've won 4-1 and we've won 5-0. If we're not playing brilliantly and winning by that much, how well can we do when we do play well? So I think the whole thing overall, it's just been such a shitter to then go play Sunderland, who they had a 100% record as well. No one had scored against them. They're not a bad team, but we've just gone and made them look so much better. And like, I didn't manage to watch much of the game. I think I got like the last 20 minutes or something. But from what I've seen, they made us look so much worse, and they could have got more than just the 1 goal. But yeah, I think if it had have all happened earlier in the summer, there won't be as much of a meltdown. It's just because of where we are now and what this week, we've got a week left at transfer window. We play them lot on Saturday. We've lost quite a lot of our bright sparks. It's just the timing of it, really, I think, for me.
Yeah,
and I think that's had the impact on Brownhill and Esteve and Parker. I think if we'd have got Parker in earlier, when we all said we need a manager before the Euros start, if we'd have got him in then he could have, we could have had all this sorted.
Yeah, no, we could have. We had the time, didn't we, Ashley? I mean, he's been out of, he were out of contract for a while. Was Parker? I feel for him because obviously this isn't his doing. We all know where the issue lies, and you don't want to listen to the outside noise of what people are saying, that it's asset. I think Ginger Ali put it a comment earlier saying it's asset stripping. It's the Americans do that, but the one thing that stuck with me that there is truth in is how many times we have either gone down or come up, and we've had a team and we've completely tore it apart and started again. Tore it apart, started again. That isn't going to do any good for any team, because one, you're taking a risk with obviously with profits and losses, but you were also ripping up team harmony. Like we've said it already, haven't we? That season we got promoted in the Championship, you felt like you could. I've said it on many a podcast. You felt like you could message one of those players on Instagram and they'd have gone for a pint with you. That's how connected you felt. And ever since that promotion, ever since then, it's just gone. I think the key word we can say here, what's been poor all along, even these transfers, communication.
Yeah. It's not been good. I mean, Kompany has left us in a right state, though, hasn't he? I was thinking about this today. You know, when you get one of these high-class managers in and the board pumps all this money into him and he signed all these players, like, and soon Kompany made huge mistakes last season. Wouldn't, you know, he stuck to his guns arrogantly, wouldn't change things up. And now we're in this mess. And he's buggered off to, Munich. And Scott Parker's having to pick up the pieces. I mean, from what I gather, all these players who are leaving don't want to play for the club. They want to play for Kompany. So in one respect, it's like, bah, if you don't want to wear the shirt, you don't want to play for the badge, go. But the other side of me is, I wish we had replacements in first and then let them go. But yeah, it's just we can't keep having. If let's say if we go up again this season, I'm still confident things will change and they'll get more positive and we'll start looking a great team because Parker looks like he's getting a few of his style of players in now. But if we go up again, we can't. We just need to sign one or two strong players and keep the cohort of the team together. Because when we went up with a new team again, and the likes of Benson and Zahari never got a look in, and they were like our star players last season. Not last season, in our championship winning season. Like, so, yeah, consistency. I think it's got to be something, and the director or the guy who's in charge of transfers said, "Boys, we need experience," and that's one thing that Parker seems to be getting in now. But like what Andrew was saying, is if this was been in like June, I think we'd all been buzzing, a bit nervous, a bit gutted that one or two of these players have gone. But you know that there'd been time for new players to come in, gel, get a pre-season, and then kickstart the season. Like, but it's like them down the road. It's like going to be a pre-season game for us, like because these new lads aren't going to gel. They won't know how Parker wants them to play. So it's concerning. I can't even say it's exciting. It's not.
It's not. It's definitely a mix of dash ball and you've got those long passes to try and get somebody in, but you've also got that pass and move style play that Kompany, and it's like he's merged the two. All he needs is a fag-on touchline, and he's got Turnant in him as well. So that's cigarette in these days. I suppose I can't say that word. We've got to be PC. But it's a tough one. Going back to you, Andrew, that we're going to have to rush transfers now. Clubs are going to know that we are after players coming in because we've got rid of so many. The scouting for players that are now just coming onto the system ain't going to be able to be done as much in detail. Where do we go from here? We're hearing that we've got cover in all areas. For me personally, I mean, we've got one that. Left back, we've got Lucas Perez, basically. Yes, Vitinho can fill in there. But yeah, again, he's another name that we don't know whether he's going to be here. We don't know whether Brownhill's going to be here. I mean,
yeah.
At this rate, are we going to have to give Robbie Blake a ring and say, look, stop managing down Flaming South now. Come back up here. Get yourself back up here. Get your kit on and have a game. It's just madness, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, I don't know, because I think at the minute you could just throw any name out and go, "Oh, we've had a bid for, I don't know, Sambo. We've had a bid for Sambo. He's off to Ipswich." Like at the minute we could throw any name out. It don't matter if we bought him yet. Could be Joe Worrell. Anyone can throw a name out and say, "Oh, we've had a bid for him," but the concern is how many have come to light and how many have actually come true. I think we look like we're getting decent players in. Like this Hannibal looks like he'll be a decent player. We do look like we're getting decent players in. I'm hoping that, because obviously they've had the scouting system and we've always looked for, they've had like thousands of people on the scouting system. I'm hoping that these are players that they've known about for a bit of time and we've had them on our radar for a decent bit of time, rather than just gone, shit, we've lost Odebert, we need someone to replace him. Like, I'm hoping these have been people that we've been looking at for a decent amount of time. But then you look at, we've still got Enoch Agaye.
Yeah.
Like, we've still got him. We've not really seen him. Egan Riley, I think, has he made 3 appearances for us so far, including weekend. Like,
and
we've still got.
He put in a man of the match performance for me as well. I mean, but we'll talk about the game in a minute. But yeah, go on. You were saying, sorry.
Right, we've still got players in and around the squad who's not played or who've not had much of a chance. So yeah, it's concerning that it's happened so late. It's concerning that it's deadline day on Friday and that we play at Bastards on Saturday. This is why I didn't want them so early in the season. But let's be honest, us 3 could get our boots on and we'd still go batter them lot. So I'm not that concerned.
I mean, there's a lot of people throwing shade at some of our new signings in the chat, and I don't get it.
Yeah,
I don't get it. I mean,
I just saw that
Dylan
one at
saying Pires. I'm like, Dylan, you just said that you've said Pires is awful. You said Hatonji is awful. I mean,
I tell you what, I saw someone
if that's the case, though, Lyle Foster was awful when he first joined us.
Yeah. Well, I saw someone on Twitter say other day
too much money on him, but then he's come to bear fruits.
Yeah. Well, I saw someone say on Twitter other day they'd rather have Fofana than Hatonji, and I'm sorry, but David Datro Fofana was just Wegos 2.0. Like he wasn't any good. So I'm sorry, but if Hatonji's the worst player you've seen in a Burnley shirt, you've only watched 3 games.
Yeah, and like I said, I think Johan says it there. Pires is for me. He has been. I mean, that killer pass for Brownell's first goal against Luton. Just showed his class, and I think he's been pretty strong. I mean, Dylan, that says it all, mate. Come on. I mean, it's Ducky's in. He says, "Is there any news on a Jordan Bayer return?" What? We have a player called Jordan Bayer. To be fair, mate, not a clue. Yeah, exactly.
And who's he?
Exactly. I'm not entirely sure. He seems to be in and around it, and you see him in all the pictures and stuff. But we need to see him in a shirt on a match day. I can understand why, if it is a horrible injury, and I think from what I heard is he's had complications with it since as well. So that's probably been a bit of a setback on a setback. BTRD says you should have seen Ray Deacon if you think Pires is poor. I mean, yeah, you couldn't have said it any better, mate. Couldn't have said it any better. And David says it there. Give the team. The team's a mess at present. Give the guys a chance. 100%. Dylan, I'm not even worried. I'm not even bothered for Wednesday. Cup run. I don't give a shit about. If you're a Burnley fan, you'll understand cup runs aren't for us. It's not us.
No. I'd like a cup run because the best game of my life was when we played Spurs at the Turf in that Carling Cup second leg when we ended up getting knocked out. But this season, there's more important things to think about. And if it's a choice of getting through against Wolves or beating bastards on Saturday. I'm sorry, but
yeah. I'd rather just turn up with the same team from Sunderland against Wolves, and then go full hog. To be fair, that was full hog.
I don't
wasn't
think
it,
Wolves will
Sunderland?
play a full strength side though. So
No.
He definitely needs to rotate it with get some of the youngsters in, and yeah, I'm not asked. I mean, obviously, I'm going to watch it on Wednesday, but
Oh yeah, and we'll celebrate if we win.
We lose. Yeah, oh well, yeah, yeah. It's just an excuse
You
to have a
can understand that it probably will be rotated. It probably will be heavily rotated due to the fact that I think we can't move our game, can we? So we have to play Wednesday, Saturday, where Wolves get their game moved to the Sunday. So they've got extra time for their Premier League game, which it's just. Do you know what? It comes to something in it when TV companies have more rights than police and stuff like that. Do you know what? I want to bring it up because it's all over Twitter. It's a poisonous place, to be fair. There's certain individuals, I won't mention names, but there's a lot of negativity towards the chairman. Now, I'm giving you boys free run here. If you've got some negativity, get it off your chest, let it out, go for it. But I'll come to you, Asher. There's going to be question marks with how it's gone already. But are you in that camp of he should have said something? Is he just waiting until the end of? What's your thoughts? Because you've got people saying he's an asset stripper, people saying he doesn't know what he's doing, he's out of his depth, he's just recuperating money, he wants out. There's those rumours. Where do you stand on ALK and Pace?
I can't see him wanting out. He's far. The past 2 seasons of that mission to Burnley shows how much he loves the club. I've met him on numerous occasions. He's always come across as a proper down to earth sound. What he says, he truly means. So I don't think he wants out. I think there's naivety there because he doesn't fully understand the game and how it works. Obviously, he is there to make a profit from it. But I'm still behind him. And at the day, he's still throwing money at us. I just wish we hadn't been stripped of all these assets within a week. That has been a stupid, naive mistake. I don't think it's helped. Again, going back to what Andrew was saying, it can't help with Parker coming in towards back end of the pre-season. It's all poor timing, really. But I don't blame Pace. I blame Kompany, and I was fully behind Kompany, and he gave us one of the best seasons ever. But his decisions he made the season after, we're now paying for, which is impacting us. But we are being stripped of assets, but he is bringing players in, and by the sounds of it, one or two of these Parker has been pushing for since he actually took over. And I've just been looking on Twitter. There's another player coming available that has Parker's name all over it, which is Billing from Bournemouth. So you just don't know, but it could be an exciting week of transfers, but then it's just bedding all these players into the team ahead of Saturday, which just concerns me. But getting back to the original point, I'm still behind Pace. You've got to be, and I think slating him and having a right go at him, this and other, I don't think it's beneficial to the club. It's just causing more of a toxic atmosphere, and what we do need on Saturday is a positive atmosphere, but toxic towards the away fans, and not in a nasty let's kick the 10 bells out of them, but let's make it a fortress. Let's just make it like hell for them, and let's get that passion onto the field and just get behind the lads. But yeah, I'm still behind. I'm still behind Pearson, but I think he probably could do with hiring someone like a director of football. Have we got a director of football?
No, I don't think we do.
Yeah, have we?
No.
Just get someone in who knows the game, and he could just be in the background. But yeah, well, I'm still behind him, but yeah, this week it hasn't been a good look for him though. That's the problem, and he hasn't come out and actually addressed any of this. And again, that's a problem. But yeah, I don't know. You can see I'm trying to be positive, like, but I'm not.
You're trying to search for that positive in the negative.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, but I do think he's a stand-up guy. He's made mistakes. I think one of his biggest mistakes was trusting Kompany with an open checkbook kind of thing.
Yep.
And it's cost us, and it's all these assets are being stripped. It was going to happen because you weren't going to keep, and they even said that's part of our model is we buy young, we sell them on. But surely now we must be in profit. We've got the parachute payment, and we've probably sold as much as what we paid, and then some from last season. So we can't be. We've got to be in the green, not in the red. But again, communication. Since Alan Pearce has taken over, I mean, the marketing side of it, where they do all these announcements, is brilliant, and behind the scenes and stuff is brilliant. But when it's important stuff like this, the communication's shocking, absolute shocking.
I mean, yeah.
200
million
million
there. Which he did in the documentary. He said he's left with a £200 million problem, and I think Matt Williams also said it in the documentary that you said it earlier. We need men. We need men. It's difficult because there is a lot of shite basically that he brought in, and I dare say, yes, one still plays in claret and blue and has gone out on loan. God forbid, I don't understand why he's not gone permanently if he's not going to get the game time. But you've got the likes of Bastian who were brought in, Cherlinov, that haven't seen a wink of football in claret and blue. Like they've not had the chance to showcase the stuff. Clearly, he's brought them in thinking that they've got the potential. You can't sit there and think, "Oh, Lyle Foster's going to rise to the top. He's got all this trajectory, looks great." But yet the others didn't have great trajectory. But let's just bring them in. It's a slippery
the
slope.
Twan transfer. It's because he's gone to Bristol and he's scoring goals. He's assisting. I mean, I know Zahiri assisted the other day as well.
Yeah, but, Lens, he did.
I think Zahiri wanted out, but the Twan one, I thought he'd have been like a Scott Parker kind of player. So yeah,
I think Kompany did a lot more to us than just screwed us over with leaving. I think Muric was never going to be a Burnley player again after last season.
I don't know if you were. I don't know if you were. I told Ashi a few weeks back that he never reported back for pre-season training.
Oh,
and when the club rang him asking him what's the sitch, and he said, "I'll happily stay in Zurich with my family for 2 years, run my contract down, and go on a free."
Well,
there was players that signed for the club asking for stuff like a "if Vinny leaves" clause.
Yeah,
like that's.
It goes to show that your heart isn't in the "I want to play for Burnley Football Club" because it's a prestigious, historic club.
Yeah.
The fan base gets behind them. There's none of that. It's like, oh, Vincent Kompany. I've spoken to Vincent Kompany, who is the manager of a football club. I'll play for him. It's it's the same. If you put Mourinho or Pep at Accrington Stanley, they'd go.
Yeah,
they'd go because they're playing for a name. But yeah, go. Sorry, you were saying Muric.
Yeah, like Muric, Zahiri. Excuse me, even Bastian, Wine, like the way they were treated last year, Benson. the way they were treated last year, there were no chance they were going to stay and play for Burnley. And I thought with Twine, especially with how heavily involved they were in pre-season, that he was going to get a chance.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like, I think he must have loved Bristol that much. Like his head was turned from last season. Zarauri got away from Kompany last season on loan, and I think he realised, like, I think Kompany did a hell of a lot more damage to us than just the 100 million and then fucking off to Bayern. And I think a lot of people as well are having the issue with trusting this process that we've been asked to trust now, because we all trusted Kompany. And some people wanted him gone at Christmas, like Ginger Ali's just said there. Some people wanted him, to stay on. Some people were happy for him to have this season. But we'd all, excuse me, we'd all stuck by Kompany and believed in this process.
Mm.
And the second we've got relegated, he's buggered off to Germany, and we're stuck with these players that don't want to play for us because of him. I mean, it tells you everything. The fact that Gudmundsson came back the day after we'd sold Kompany. J-Rod re-signed the day after we'd got rid of Kompany. Like, it tells you a lot of what sort of atmosphere he had created at Burnley. And I think no matter who the manager is this season, obviously it's Parker now, but no matter who the manager is, they didn't want to stay here because he had ruined that for him. That's a long-winded way of saying that Kompany's a dickhead.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah, no, he has. To be fair, you can see, we all see it in the documentary that he has a go at the older experiences that aren't his players. You can see he probably had the odd clicky group that he was probably all pally with. It was like, yeah, your name's on team sheet, whatever, it's fine.
But his players from the year before, he didn't want anything to do with them.
Yeah.
It was
this is what I mean.
They got new toys and they forget about all their other old toys. That's what it was.
Like I say, we've had the likes of Benson coming on in games, striking late on. If we had that in the Premier League, now, from what I was told, Kompany didn't think he was physical enough for the Premier League.
He probably wasn't, but...
He probably wasn't. But neither's... Jack Grealish goes down if he touches air.
Yeah.
And this is a player that's very similar to the likes of, people that like...
He probably wasn't physical enough in the Premier League, but when it's 0-0 or you're 1-0 down with 15 minutes left, you need a player to come on and unlock the other team.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he can do. And if he'd have been involved on Saturday, he would have done the same, because we were struggling to break down Sunderland, and you don't need to break them down when you can cut in one on your left foot and curl it into the top corner.
Mate, it's... I'm just looking at some of the stuff from that season and how, like you said it there, players like Jack Cork, who I think Liam puts it here, according to sources, Corky is back. To be fair, I've heard it myself that he's
not a bad move, really, is it?
No, that he's apparently back as a player coach.
Yeah,
coaching the under-21s.
Yeah, I heard that.
So he'll, there's a good chance that he's in there. I mean, Liam says, "What's the point? He's past it." Like Jay, he's saying here. But then he wasn't given the chance in the Premier League.
Yeah.
He got 4 games, and then his nose were pushed out. It was the same for Cullen at the start of the season. Played against City. It's funny that a lot of the players that played against City were thought, "Oh no, it doesn't look like these are going to work. They're not strong enough for me." you're playing Manchester City, Vinny. Come on, like give them a chance the week after. Let them see what they can do, because we all managed to see what Cullen did. Later on in the season when it decided to get, when we're fighting, gritting our teeth, we literally only had to win that game at Spurs to still be here with it, fighting chance, and it was only a late sucker punch that, we felt deflated. Vinny has a lot to answer for. I think that's pretty much what we're all saying. Saying here. Pace and members of the board also have a little input, because it's hard because they've been burnt by a manager.
Yeah.
And yet they've now been left with a lot of embers that they need to sort of get rid of or put out. And it's hard because when you get, say, 3 players walk in saying, right, well, I'm a Premier League quality player, I want to go. The other one says, yeah, my contract's running out, I'll just leave. Not naming names, but a certain left back that went to Southampton said he's a Premier League left back and didn't want to sign a contract for Burnley. So read into that what you will. It's very difficult because those 3 players then becomes, oh, well, they've got moves after just asking. I'll ask. And then the numbers mount up. And then don't get me wrong. I didn't like that. Somebody asked me a question actually in a Sunderland magazine. I didn't like the way it was wrote. I never questioned them about it. But they categorised us as the Chelsea of the Championship, right? And I know we had depth. But we've never had depth. How many seasons have we gone with so many players? So little players that Dash is coming out saying, we got promoted with a squad of 24. Like, name another team who's managed to do that.
Yeah.
Barely any rotation whatsoever. And that's not just down to Dash picking same 11 and never using subs. But it is, transfer windows are coming a bit like a kid at Christmas, because you don't know who's coming or going. You don't know what old toys to chuck out, but you don't know what new toys you want. It's a very tough business. Ashe, to you, do you see us being stronger come Friday? I suppose that's the main question. And I'll bring in the 3 that obviously, clearly, I've already had these images from the club, not edited myself. But you look at Sarmiento, who played very, very well at Ipswich last season when he did play. He might not have had been a first team starter, but when he did come on, scored some pivotal goals. I've seen some of the way he plays for Brighton as well, so he'd look like a decent acquisition. Hannibal, I wonder how that one's going to go. We shall see. But Jadon Anthony's an interesting one because we've got a lot of people saying that he's a bang average, the less side of the Championship sort of quality. This is a player that played over 40-something games for Scott Parker at Bournemouth, scored 8 goals and I think 8 assists as well, if I'm not mistaken. So
Parker's pushed for that one as well.
100%, 100%. And he's not even, he's not an old lad. He's still 24. He has had his demons. He lost a family member recently, as me and you, both know.
Yeah.
So, it takes time, and he needs to rebuild that confidence, and maybe a move to a new club can help that. But
I think as well,
we've got them 3. Go on, sorry.
You think as well, like Teller, when we got him, wasn't a first. He wasn't a starter for Southampton.
No.
Howard Bellis, obviously, I know we were at City, but he weren't a starter for City. These lads, they weren't starters in their teams, and we've brought them. And Teller, look at what he did, last season for Leverkusen. Maatsen, all right, he was at Chelsea, but he wasn't a first team player.
Yeah.
Now he's at Villa after reaching Champions League final last year. You know, just because these lads haven't been in their teams doesn't mean that they're going to be poor. I mean, we've not even seen all right, apart from Dan's amazing pictures there. We've not even seen these lads in a Burnley shirt. Why are they being written off before they've been?
I know, it's mental. And I've seen a few highlight reels of all these three lads. Hannibal, I hope he is in the team. If he is signing, which sources are saying, all these three have had medicals today, so it's just about being announced. But he's the kind of player that you wanted the team starting lineup come Saturday, because Hannibal by name, Hannibal by nature, by all sounds of it. So, and that's kind of something that we want. And you know, I'm hoping he don't do a Kevin Ball, like 2 foot someone like. But you want that where crowd is gonna like just hit someone in a positive way, not like knock someone out, but he's going to hit someone, and that's just going to get the crowd up and get behind the team, like, and get a bit excited. Like, well, these two young lads, these wingers, look, the highlight reels I've seen are very similar to like Benson and Zahari, just cutting inside, bit of pace behind them. Not saying they're as good as them, but I can only go off what I've seen on what's been posted all over like social media. They look decent, so give them a chance. If they're coming to play, they are coming to play for us. They're coming to put that shirt on. Why write them off? Why not be positive and give them positivity? You know, you want them to be starting on. You know, yeah, I'm here. I'm here to play for you guys, rather than like, oh, why have I come here? No one wants me. They're giving me shit before I've even actually put a shirt on and actually put my boots on and go on the pitch. So, but I do think we'll probably get 2 more players in. Come well, if Jack Cork's been pretty much confirmed as well, so that's 4. So, but I do think
is Ginger Ali Jones there, or is that serious?
There has been a few, I won't say mutterings, probably more whispers, but there's that. You know, Steve Walsh said it earlier, saying we might get Ings back.
It's in a heartbeat for me, that one.
It's tough because, yes, I sort of would. I think that's based on sentiment for me, though.
Yeah.
That, like Mr. Biscuit said, would we take back Ings? We didn't want him under Vinny. We had a chance to get him under Vinny, didn't. And well, I suppose a physio could earn his keep. But yeah, it's a tough one, because we could have said that. We could have said that with, you know, if we wanted Kone back.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's club is going to say about, let's bring a player back. This is one I'd have in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, if he gets frozen out at Leverkusen, then yes, 100 million trillion %. But is there any areas, Andrew, I'll come to you first. Any areas for you where we need to strengthen?
We need another centre mid, 100%.
I thought you were going to say centre back, then, you bastard. I really thought you were going to say centre back. Another one.
We need another centre mid. 100%. We've not replaced Berg. All right, we might replace him with Hannibal, but we were still one short before Berg left.
I think Billings at least out, isn't it? Really,
I can't stand him, so I really hope not. But he'd do a job for us. So we need a striker.
Yeah.
Because as much as I do like Foster, and I do believe Hatonji is going to do well, we can't rely on just those 2. And everyone knows my feelings for J-Rod, and I'd offer him another 15-year contract right now if I could. But he ain't going to last all season with Foster and Hatonji as the competition. So we need another striker. We need another left back.
Yeah.
We need another winger. Obviously, we've got these guys that we've been linked with, but yeah, we if we get these 3 lads in, there's still 3 more that we definitely need, and then maybe even a number 10.
Yeah.
I suppose it depends on if we keep Amaduni and Koleosho, doesn't it, really? That's quite nerve-wracking with... Because Amaduni, I mean, when he came on against Cardiff and just absolutely leathered that ball, that's the quality we've got with him. But he's heavily linked to go leave us. Well, if we could keep hold of them 2, these 3 new lads that are coming in, definitely a left back, because we've got Perez, and that's playing players who aren't a natural left back. Yeah, and definitely another striker. If Ben's this is where
it's a lot of ifs, buts, and maybes, isn't it? It's like, if he goes, then we need someone there. If he doesn't, then fine, but let's focus on that part. It's when you got them puzzles as a kid in like a lucky bag, and all bits were everywhere, the squares, and you had to move them into position to try and get the full picture. That's what we are at the minute, and hoping to get the full picture by Friday. It's all mismatched, and we're hoping to get the pieces in the right places, but it's just a case of, if that piece goes there, does this piece move there? And it's difficult. I dare say we sat here and we can say that the deals that we're doing, brilliant. We're actually doing something. We're being proactive, but we need... what's the word? We need experience, for one. I think we need a bit of experience in there. And I think that's what's, as much as Parker's looking at these lads, I think Hannibal does need a new lease of life. Yeah. I'll tell you one that's interesting, because we've not even announced him yet. Ronaldinho's son, apparently at Burnley, apparently here, shirt held, not announced, and yet could be off to our little, I don't know, stepsister club, Dundee. I don't know what the crack is. I don't know what's going on. Again, it goes down to what I said earlier. That word, I feel like I need to do a Balamori and the word just appear above. Communication. It's like it's down to poor communication. I'm not, the club have been slandered for that for years, from the ticket office to people on social media that are within the club. It has been piss poor.
Yeah.
It's just, whereas we all know that this lad signed. Like, it's all over his Instagram. Ronaldinho shared it. I mean, like, we all know this lad signed. So what's crack with it?
Yeah. Well, is Mr. B here saying that basically it's a publicity stunt to get us even bigger in Brazil and places like that. But, I mean, I say Brazil, he's part Brazilian, part Spanish. We've already got enough of a Burnley contingent out in Tenerife, so we don't need any more growing out there.
Honestly, I'm fine if it's just for that, as long as it means that Ronaldinho is going to be down signing Bob Lord at some point.
Well, it won't be if he goes up to Dundee, though. It'd be going up Scotland.
Could you imagine
so will I.
Bringing this samba dancing up to Scotland, well, I've never seen so much. But let's talk about it then. Obviously, that Sunderland game. Let's get into that. We've said that the team sheet was.
Do we have to?
Oh, yeah, because
I want to remain positive.
I know you do. Mr. V says, "Can you imagine Ronaldinho at Marners?"
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. Get yourself a Benny or not, lad, and get yourself dancing on Bisco. Bisco, what's a Bisco? Disco, tithead. But yeah, it's the game itself. We've spoken about the interviews, negative. We spoke about team sheet, negative. But the performance as well was obviously off the basis of the two. It comes in threes. There were question marks over the goal. People say they were offside, they were onside. But for me, I think he's onside anyway.
I thought he was onside.
Yeah. But what's your view of the game, Ashley? I'll come to you first. Whether you watched it or not, or seen the highlights.
I saw.
What do you think?
Dropping out because I were in Blackpool. So what I saw was no effort. That's what it just seemed like. It was like no effort, and I don't know. It was like they just deflated, and that's why I say no effort. But like I say, I didn't watch the full game, so I can only say talk about what I actually saw. Like, but the goal itself, I thought were a bit sloppy from us, but I thought it was onside. But I thought we were lucky not to get absolutely trounced. To come away 1. I mean, I think the stats were saying at half time they had 9 shots, even though they only had 1 on target, which they actually scored from. We had 1, and it was miles wide from all accounts. So yeah, it just weren't a good performance, and you do get them. So I'd rather have had. I'm thinking back to the season when we went to Sheffield United and we were 2-0 up, and then they came back and they absolutely spanked us. And then we had the fiddlers down the road, and we were all like nervous for that. And we came back, and so I'm kind of hoping warning signs are there. Scott Parker's that will be working tirelessly with them, and lessons have been learnt from Saturday. But yeah, it weren't a good performance. It didn't fill anyone full of hope. And by all accounts, from what I'm hearing, like the lads who went up and watched them from Sunderland, a lot of people are saying the club should have actually refunded them the tickets, and because it was that dismal of a performance.
Wow. I mean, I just want to jump in and say, because it's just come up on my screen that we might be having problems with being live on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. But how often does that happen when you have problems with an X? It's quite notorious, that, isn't it? But yeah, so I think as of now, it's for some reason gone funny on X. On my phone, it says the broadcast is not available. So apologies if you were watching. If you want to listen to it on the podcast, which you can, probably will be out by the end of tonight. And ready for you to listen to tomorrow morning on your way to work or dinner time, etc. But back to you, Andrew. I think what's your thoughts on that Sunderland game? Because we were under the cosh from minute 1. There were 2 stats I had. 2 stats I had that we had never won back-to-back games at the Stadium of Light. That continues. And Sunderland hadn't won 3 games on the bounce since 1925-26 season. So now they rewrote their history, and we just carried on riding the shit out of luck. Yeah, we just carried on with the arsehole performance. It was poor, wasn't it, from the get-go?
Yeah, like I said before, I only managed to catch the last 20 minutes. But yeah, it wasn't the best. I've obviously sat down and watched the highlights, and from watching it looks like they could have got another 3 or 4, and we were lucky it was only 1-0. But like we said, from the starting 11, as soon as we got the team sheet, we knew it weren't going to be great. So yeah, it happens. Like you lose games. It's football. It happens. Some days you don't turn up. It's not the end of the world. I think a lot of things have been made about it because of the things that have gone on outside of, off the pitch. But yeah, it's one of them games. It does happen. But by the sounds of it, we weren't the best team. Their goal, even if it was offside, which personally, having seen it, I don't think it was. But even if it was, by the sounds of it, they deserved it anyway. So can't really whinge.
No. This game, then, obviously, the Wolves game, I'm not even going to speak about because win, lose, or draw, I don't care as long as it means we beat the Bastards on Saturday. I don't like to admit it, but they've started pretty well. Mac Targay, who was linked with us, 2 seasons ago now, obviously goes to Blackburn and he's just hit the ground running. They've got a is he Japanese striker? I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah,
I think he's Japanese.
Japanese, yeah.
Which, to be fair, I feel like they've recruited well. But then, yet again, what did we say when they came to the turf last time? That Brereton Diaz was on all cylinders, and yet he offered absolutely jack shit. We look at the game that we won at Ewood, where they went 1-0 up, and it took them hitting the post through Jordan Rhodes the second, that other time after the goal for us to wake up and go, oh shit, hold on, let's get into it. Parker's going to be based on Saturday. I think there'll be a lot of cardigans burnt come, 4:00 on Saturday afternoon. If the heavens don't answer Burnley's calls, but actually this weekend, again, Friday and Saturday, it's 2 doom days do we call it? Independence Day? How do you want to look at it? It's 2 massive days for the club.
Deadline day. I mean, that could set us up very nicely for the game. But the problem is, if let's say we sign 6 players, which is quite possible. I've just seen a tweet that Jack Cork has been at Barnfield, and it's he could possibly be part of the squad. But if we sign 6 players, you ain't going to throw all 6 into the team. So, because that would just be complete suicide. It'll be, so disjointed. But to me, if Koleosho's fit, he's got to definitely start if we can keep him. And if Amaduni is still here, he's got to start for me. As much as I love Jay, he's one of our own. He's not better than Amaduni, unfortunately. So we got to start with the strongest squad. Egon Riley played well against Sunderland, but why sign? Well, you want someone like that. It reminds me a little bit like Ben Mee. Prepared to throw himself in front of a ball, in front of a player. He's not asked if he gets hurt, as long as he stops that ball again on through to our goalkeeper or shot on a target. He does look like a bit of a warrior, and I think if Hannibal is here, I think he personally should start. But it's like, who do you drop? But I do think we need someone in that midfield like him who's going to bat him, literally bat him. But yeah, I'm not nervous yet. I'm not apprehensive. I think that will kick in. I think my eyes more taken on all these transfers, and it's actually taken away. We've got this huge game coming up, but come Friday, once transfer window shuts, I think I'll be. I don't think I'll be sleeping much Friday night.
No,
well, thankfully it's an early start. Get it over and done with.
It is, but then you've got to suffer the rest of the night if it is negative. That's the only issue. I mean, Andrew, it's going to be a very, very tough day. I think after what we've seen, everybody's on the fence. I think if we'd have had a similar performance to what we had in the first two, we'd have been sat here lapping it up, saying that's it. Like, don't bother turning up because you're gonna get absolutely trounced. But now we're like, who's going to be playing? What positions? Have we got defenders in attack, keeper in defence?
It's not just that. Like form goes out of the window in a derby. I know it's cliche, and I know it's like, and it's last time we played and we won the league at their place. The time before that, we battered them off the pitch so much that the entire ground was singing how shit they were.
Yeah.
And now we're coming to, what is it like? Is it 10 years since they scored a goal against us? Like, not even how long it is since they've beaten us, how long it is since they scored a goal against us. And it's just, with everything going on off the pitch, how toxic everything has been on social media over the last few days, it could just go complete to shit. I thought about saying this on Twitter earlier, and then I thought no, because I'll get quite a few bites. But for me, it feels like this week is the modern day Orient game. Not obviously with how important that. I mean, nothing's ever going to be as important as that game was.
But from a fan importance, it's
and not just for a fan importance, but for Alan, for ALK, for Parker. You know, like Parker wasn't the manager a lot of people wanted.
Yeah.
So these events, a lot of people weren't trusting a pace when he first came in. Obviously, got us relegated. He sacked Sean Dyche. You know, quite a lot of things went against him. So I think with how crucial it could be, it genuinely does feel like it could be that, because I honestly think if we don't go up this season, we could end up staying in the Championship for a decent while, and that's, you know, concerning if we do all this money. So yeah, it feels like it could be a huge week, and that's why I'm starting to get nervous now for it. But I'm trying not to focus on it too much. I'm trying to focus on Wednesday first, because we've still got to get through that before we have to play them. And I know we've all said we're not bothered about Wednesday, but I still want us to do something decent before we play them.
Yeah, but even just putting a performance that, even if we get beat, it's still merited. We actually gave a good account of ourselves. It's a tough one, because there'll be players that are like, I don't want to get injured. I want to play in the derby. I want to play in this. However, I don't know whether it is that, because half of them don't even want to play in our kit. So I don't know what the situation is at the minute. This is what I mean. It's almost just everything's shoved into a big flaming swag bag and shook about, and then just everyone's like, what? So it's tough.
I'm just hoping though, because I mean, social media for, you know, that hashtag Twitter clarets. I mean, you just need to search for it, and then obviously it just brings up what's everyone's trending with. It's just toxic at this moment in time. I'm just hoping that whatever the result end of it is, we don't lose our heads and kick off, and because you can see it brewing, and you know we just need to. Yeah, I'm apprehensive with how the atmosphere is going to be, and it's like if we don't get the win, if we do lose, I think it could go sour very, very quickly. You know, there'll be a lot of abuse thrown at Alan Pace's way. You know, and you know we have got such a great fan base, and it's just, I don't know. It's gone really.
Dare I say, have we been spoiled?
Yeah.
Have we been spoiled? Because
we've
seen a lot of good times recently, and I think a fan base can be quick enough to go and jump on that defensive of, the season we finished in Europe, the season after when we got relegated. How has this happened? That was the same team that got us to getting above myself to Europa League, and why haven't we done that again? Why haven't even we gone better and qualified for the Champions? It doesn't work like that. It doesn't. You can't. This is the best. This is why we love football. Nothing is ever guaranteed. You don't know who's gonna be playing one week to the next. You don't know whether they're gonna. This is why you have your fantasy Premier League teams. You put someone as your captain, you drop them week after, and they have the game of the life the week that you've dropped them because how many people probably didn't captain Haaland this weekend? Yes, I feel the effects of that one because I didn't. But we all have these mad moments. I said it earlier. Pace. I don't like that, Ali. I don't like that at all. I wouldn't say he hasn't had it easy at all. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. This is a man who had to probably make one of the hardest decisions of his life, sacking a manager in Sean Dyche, who was a massive fan favourite with us, and all we wanted to do was him to get it right, and we still stood by him. The question mark that I have is that yes, him and Kompany were like that when it shouldn't have been. There shouldn't have been a level playing field. He's put too much faith into him. He says that we have a project. That project was Vincent Kompany, and that project fucked off.
Yeah,
simple as that. No, I get it's an opinion, but I'm just saying the guy he said is the project left, and we now have to forward on with the process of what we want to achieve, which we saw in the documentary and heard it. And I told you all that he said it in the fan board meeting, and luckily I'm glad it showed it, that Pace said he wants to make us an established Champions League club. That's the dream. So that's why I think fans are like, we aren't going to, he's not going to just sell up. He was so downhearted after he got rid of Dash. This is what I've had from board members himself, that he was so downbeat because he didn't want to do that, but felt like he had to give us a chance. It's hard, and he's been burnt twice because he's done that and then probably thought, have I done the right thing? Where do I go from here? He's got lucky with bringing Vinny in, promised him the world, give him everything. We could sit here and ask those questions now of where would we be if he gave Dash that war chest? What players would we have signed? Would we have still dipped our toes into the foreign market? How would Burnley have looked right now? And it's difficult to say. But the thing is, you put all your eggs into one basket with a manager because you're madly in love. You're going to feel the effects of that breakup. And I think that's what he's done. And that's why we've got a manager now in as a head coach who's not going to pull the strings. Pace isn't just a puppet on his manager's hand anymore. He's able to call the shots a little bit. But he's learning day by day. He's never, it could be worse. Ted Bowley, that's all I'm going to say. Ted Bowley keeps bringing people into Chelsea, and the manager's coming up saying, I'm working with a 21-man squad. Where's the rest of them then? Fulham? Well, I don't get it. But the thing is, a lot of people said he was an asset stripper before he'd even sat there with the scarf in front of him as a chairman. I'm not saying that he doesn't have a part to play in this, because he does. And I will say that he needs to pull his finger out. Him and certain individuals at the club need to work on what they're doing. They need to look at the fact that we can't keep doing this, chop and change. It doesn't work. It might work when you're in the kitchen with a recipe or whatever till you get it right, but there's different things. A recipe is not a football club. A recipe isn't 13 million quid here and there. Adding a bit of oregano to something is a pittance than adding a pair of Nike boots to your main striker. It is something else. So we understand we're at the moment, we are facing doom and gloom. We are feeling down because of what we have just seen. If that is the worst case, then fair enough. You know, we can only get better from here. I just hope it hasn't spilled out in those interviews that we've seen. I'm gonna address one thing because I mentioned it to the boys beforehand as well, that the WhatsApp thing I'm not going to speak about. I just wanted to put that out before that ends up getting brought up. But I'm not going to speak about that because it is all just hearsay. It's not something that I can say is, you know, straight off, that's happened, that's whatever. If it has, it has. If it hasn't, it hasn't. But I don't know the ins and outs, and I wouldn't like to. Speculating on players is one thing. Speculating on a person's livelihood and potential of whatever they've done or haven't done is something else. So I'm not going to speculate on that. And no problem, son. Time for bed. It's speaking of which, an hour and 16 minutes. I understand this is meant to be the Blackburn match preview, and we've not even called them horse fiddlers, shithousers, every other name we can think of. But Ashley, how do you see us getting on? Give us your prediction and how you think the game's going to go.
Right, there's a few equations on this one, so bear with me. If we keep Koleosho and Amadune, I think we're winning because we've got class and we'll have depth because we've got new players coming in and we've got players who look like they can actually come off the bench and impact. But if we do lose Brownhill, Amadune, Koleosho, and bring in, like, say, 6 players, I don't think it's going to be a good result for us. I think there'd be too much upheaval. I think it'll impact on us. So I am going to go positive. I'm going to say I think we'll be celebrating, but I'm not going to give a scoreline because I ain't got a clue. But I do think we'll be celebrating at end of the.
That's tough to call. That are we celebrating an equaliser in the dying minutes?
No, I do think we'll be the ones retaining bragging rights. I do, if the transfer window remains very, very kind to us. If it doesn't. Yeah, but I'm remaining positive. I think with all the noise that all Burnley fans are making on social media, they must be reading all these tweets and everything, like, and you know they have acted very, very quickly in terms of all Sunday we were saying we need this, we need that, and then come Monday we've got 3 medicals going on and there's Jack Cork just pulling up outside Barnfields, like, so.
Yeah,
I do think they are listening to us. They're just not communicating. We've said it quite a lot. They're just not communicating. We just don't know what the hell is going on. Well, yeah, let's stay positive. I am going to say, I think we'll retain bragging rights. I hope.
You know what? I'm saying, I'm sat here hanging on bated breath because I don't know where we go. I mean, Andrew, it is so tough. It's head and heart, and then head and heart are arguing, and you're telling yourself to calm down, and it's pandemonium. If you're not in on yourself, you're in on everybody else on Twitter. If you're not in on people on Twitter, they're in on you. It's a vicious circle. But yeah, how do you see it going, and how do you think the scoreline will end up?
I think it's going to be the toughest derby we've had for a long time. I think it's going to be absolutely horrible. Like I always look forward to this is the game that I absolutely love, and like I have no voice after any match anyway. But on Saturday, I'm going to have no voice by 2:00, and like I say, I'm always excited for the derby. I always look forward to it. I can never wait for it. But this time, I'm just not breaking it, but I'm a little bit more apprehensive than normal, and it's going to be tough. can't say they're going to win. Like, I can't predict anything other than us winning because just physically can't have it in my mind that they're going to beat us. But yeah, it's going to be really, really tough. I can see it being a 1-0. Yeah, it's going to be really, really, really tough. But yeah, we'll get through it. I just can't.
To follow your 1-0 though. To follow your 1-0, who's the hero?
Foster.
If
After
he's still
how much shit they give him when we won it, because it was just how we turned out, because they were absolutely baiting him, and that final whistle went, and he just turned around and give it. Yeah, but yeah.
No, see, he's not my hero for the. No one wanted him to sign a new contract. No one wanted him to stay. He's too old. He's past it. But he's not. He's one of our own. He's going to score a last-minute header in front of Jimmy Macstand, J-Rod.
There you go. I mean, I'm going to carry on that optimism and that positivity, and I'm going, you lock down the M65. Shove it up your arse. You've had a great start, but that's it. Your time's up. That's it.
Their great
It's
start.
over.
In fairness, their great start. They've played Derby.
Yeah.
And they won, what were it, 4-2. So they weren't that fantastic. Can't remember who the second game were, but I know that they won. Were it Plymouth? Have they played Plymouth? Have they played the bottom all promoted teams?
They drew 2-2, didn't they, for the second game?
And then they beat Oxford at the weekend. But it were 2-1. Like, no offence to Oxford, like, I do think they're going to stay up, but they haven't played. And all right, we're having a bit of a shitter at the minute with this meltdown and stuff, but
that could play into our hands, though. That could play into our hands in terms of they look at us and go, look at the shitstorm that's happening down there. Look at what's happening. Let's let them have their turmoil. We'll turn up and just do what we need to do. And we just turn around and go, yeah, they think that we're all going to be down in the dumps and that people have gone here and whatever. But we've got a man here who's sat here, Burnley born and bred, and whether he's wearing the club's colours or not, will be in that dressing room, making sure that those players understand what the El Land Clasico means to the people around the town. And that, for me, is why we're going to absolutely annihilate the scruffy bastards, right? And we're going to beat them 5-0. 5-0 in our own yard. That's it. We've won it at Ewood, and we're going to dick you at home and all. See you later. Kiss, kiss, bang, bang, straight up. And we're all walking off turf with a nice little shoulder dip as we walk past the coach, and just, magic. Absolute magic. Speaking of magic, let's see what you guys have been saying. Mr. Biscuit says 2-1 to the Clarets. Ginger Ali brings some positive. He must be in dreamland when I sent him to bed. 1-0 Burnley he's gone for. We'll take it. 3-1 to us. Ducky says Ginger Ali's a Pires free kick, top corner. I dreamt it. There we go. I dreamt it. I told you. Henry says, I think 2-1. Just, it's always hard to predict these games. There's so much hatred. There is. But it's not like the Premier League where they big up the big two and then they draw out a fucking 0-0. Mr. B says they're not communicating because every time they say something, they get jumped on by toxic fans. Yep, I couldn't agree. MKP Face says Court was doing his badges a couple of seasons ago. If the coach has gone, I think that's what he was there for. Maybe as a player coach. Yeah. Luke, being the Forest fan, says Burnley 2-0, Joe Worrell double. To be fair, Ali, I'd take it as well. I think everybody sat here would take it. Foster OJ, there we go. Liam says it there. 5-0, not even nil. 5-0, note, nil, nothing. Blackburn have played Derby, Norwich, and Oxford. Yeah.
There you go. So
Liam says 3-0. Teller, if only.
If only, yeah.
And yeah, Henry, we are going to finish on. I will finish on that. So don't worry about it. I will finish on that. But guys, thank you very much for your time. I'm sorry to keep you for an hour and a half. Andrew, I've eaten enough into your graphics time as it is. Tell people where they can find you and your amazing work that you do online.
Oh, nice one, mate. Yeah, just Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, always Claret. Yeah, like you say, just doing graphics, hopefully starting to get a bit of work with it now. If anyone's in the Royal Dyche at the weekend before the match and they go to the back bit, where there's the little bit of grass. I've not been down to see it myself yet, but there should be a banner in there with quite a few legends on it. So if you see that, give me a shout because it's something I'm quite proud of. But yeah, starting to get a bit of work with them. So hopefully we keep going. But yeah, always Claret.
Happy days. And Asher, it's there for all to see. Everybody's name's up, but tell people where they can see your wise, positive words of wisdom.
Well, I will try to be being positive all over Twitter, but it's one of those I keep getting. I keep saying, "Oh, I'm not going on Twitter; it's too toxic." But then 2 minutes later, I'm back on Twitter. But yeah, no, I'm always on Twitter. So if anyone wants to talk football, give us a shout. Especially if it's talking claret and blue. Always up for a good chit chat. Oh.
Happy days. And if you don't find him on here, he'll be at Woodman most of the time anyway. So
well,
we were there yesterday. He'll probably be there Saturday, and he'll probably be there after the game Saturday as well with Wood himself, especially if we get a 5-0 win. Trust me, I'd have a Woody as well. Henry, thank you for that. Love your podcast as always. Pleasure hearing the Clarets News. Mr. B as well, thank you very, very much indeed. But unfortunately, we do have to end on a sad note. As I say, former England manager and Swedish coach Sven-Göran Eriksson sadly lost his life today at 76 years of age due to pancreatic cancer. It's a sad day for football, sad day. Some of the memories he gave us as England supporters, no one will forget that 5-1 win over Germany. What a performance that was. I mean, he even got Emuleski to bag. That's something. That's the power of the man. But yeah, shame to finish on such a low, but let's just remember Sven for who he is. Until then, let's beat the bastards. Let's have a positive deadline day. And RIP Sven-Göran Eriksson. Up the Clarets, boys. Up the Clarets.